Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome back to Season 9 Walmart Cup Series action represented by the NNSCRA, as we are getting set for race number 15 of Season 9 NNSCRA Walmart Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, a.k.a. Thrash Maniac 99, the voice of NNSCRA Walmart Cup Series, here to welcome you to Pocono Raceway for the Pocono 400. This is going to be quite interesting of a race for you here today, as we are at a brand new version of Pocono, the 2012 version, where I believe this was when the safer barriers were installed. If not, I'll have to look at a much later version. But before we take a look at the starting lineup, let's look at the point standings. After last week at Coca-Cola, Johnny Gardner still leading the points by 23 points over Trent Dunham. Third is Preston Plord. Fourth is Dylan Young. Fifth is DJ Curtis. Sixth is Peachy London. Seventh, Michael Norman. Eighth, Dorian Facepuncher. Ninth, Katie Cochran. 10th is Tim Walsh. Rest of the top 20 is Seth Cole, Matt McIntyre, Austin LaPlante, PJ Williams, Tanner Sullivan, Dylan Thoreau, Charles Sanford, Austin Mongold, David Rivera, and Sean Galligan. Drivers who are on the outside of the top 30 looking in that are highest up in points are Kyle Matthews, Zach Rogers, Stephanie Naylor, Kyle Keith, Matthew Dalio, Jonathan Zorline, Devin Becker, Bob Jones, Marco Martinez, and Daniel Gilbert. As far as how close it is pretty close. From around 28th on back to 33rd, it is only separated by 61 points, separating 28th through 33rd. And Kyle Matthews is only 2 points out of 30th, with Dylan Poteet still in that dangerous 30th spot. Jessica Sheldon moved back into the top 30 in points and has a 17-point advantage over 31st. Chris Washer is only 19 points ahead of 31st. So this is where it's getting to crunch time for a lot of guys to try to get themselves into that top 30 in order to get a win or two to get into the chase. But let's go ahead and look at the starting lineup, as starting in the last row is Austin LaPlante and Sean Galligan. Top 10, Chase Oliver's on the pole. Next to him will be James Qualls. Third is Anthony McCrory. Fourth, Tanner Sullivan, both in row 2. Row 3 is James McLeod and Trent Dunham, as I got a Skype call for some reason. Anyways, row 4 is Dylan Poteet and Stephanie Naylor, and then row 5, Jessica Sheldon and Joshua Collard. Let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for the Pocono 400 at Pocono Raceway.
Drivers, start your engines!
Pace car and all the race cars coming out of pit road for their pace lap. So, a little trend I've noticed in the last few races, going back to Charlotte, the last couple races back at Charlotte, when Henry Sanford won at Charlotte, and then you also had last week Devin Becker win at Coca-Cola. Could we see that streak continue of drivers that are outside the top 30 win a race for the third week in a row? And we've got two of them starting up in the first row, Chase Oliver and James Qualls. Then after that, the next highest of those guys is Stephanie Naylor, who is starting 8th. And as far as who I'm going to pick to win this race, pretty much with this track, pretty much if you're in the top 10, you're going to be in contention. Unless you have a really fast car and you're really accurate going throughout the corners of the track, I don't know if you're going to have much of a shot. I'm going to go with the pole sitter for this week. I've not really picked pole sitters to win races this season, but this could be a week where we could see that, and Chase Oliver, I think, could have a chance. And he's no slouch. He may not have made a lot of races, but he is one of the best drivers in the entire series history. And boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go racing! Well, Chase Oliver led lap number 1, and from what I can tell, the high line seems to be a much better line to run on this racetrack. And Chase Oliver is managing to make it work, as Anthony McCrory, who is now up to second, has been trying to use the low line for passes, but hasn't really been able to make it work. And now here comes James Qualls. Whoa! Nearly had a wreck right there with those two. Qualls' car pushed up the track almost into McCrory, and that could have been a big, big problem if they weren't careful. As meanwhile, back up in the front of the field, it is still Chase Oliver leading the way. By how much, though? And McCrory gained a little bit of time on the 68, but now here he comes with the run on the bottom once again. But Chase Oliver, again using that high line, is going to get the bigger run off the corner. Look at the shot of the helicopter cam to see if the 68 was clear, and he was. Dylan Poteet looks like he about got into the back of James Qualls as he's trying to move him out of the way for third. Or no, that's actually James McLeod, not Dylan Poteet. And he about got into him again. And I notice it's like in turn 1, the high line seems to be the preferred line. Turn 2, it could be either line, but turn 3, it's the bottom lane that gets the bigger run. So it's really all a matter of how you're driving the racetrack is really how this race is going to get determined. And Qualls actually got passed by 2 cars, Stephanie Naylor and James McLeod. Let's see what turn 2 is like. Yeah, turn 2 is a bottom lane portion. The high line, the only portion of the track that high line runs can work is turn 1. Turns 2 and 3, however, it's the bottom line that gets the big run. Let's look around the back as I see, Dylan Thoreau running dead last at the current moment. Not really good for him. And there you see the example of what I'm talking about with the high line versus the bottom line off of turn number 1. McCrory tucking in line behind the 68. But now here comes McLeod, and whoa! Nearly a wreck. Whoa, how are they not crashing? Or how did they not crash? That's the bigger question. McLeod almost got into McCrory, and that could have been a big wreck. And he had a run on McCrory, but because they made contact, McCrory was able to keep it going in order to keep second place. Looking around the field to see the action going on, and it's Mostly double wide, as back up at the front, McCreary with the run on the inside, but again, that high line in turn 1 gets the bigger run. And Chase Oliver so far has led a quarter of the race. And here comes McLeod with a run on the inside of McCreary once again. It really, I guess, with turn 2, it really can depend on how much momentum you have on either the bottom or the top. But yeah, with turn 3, it is definitely the bottom groove that gets to run, especially if you have draft in your wake. And now here comes McCreary once again with the run on the inside, but we're going to watch the example of what I've been talking about right there. You get that little itty-bitty run up high off of turn 1, and you're good to go. And now James McLeod has actually gone by for second, and now here he comes with a run to the inside of Chase Oliver. Could we see a lead change? Oh, and apparently there was almost a crash off of turn 2. Not sure what happened there. Man, Chase Oliver, he can make the high line work everywhere, even off of turn number 3. Really, Chase's car, he's just really got this track down pat. And now I think I see the car that may have gotten the wall, and that was Chris Washer off of turn 2, from what I could tell. So something must have happened to the 35, but he's still running up to speed. But Dylan Thoreau is back there too, so it makes me wonder, did they kind of get into each other off around here, off of turn 2, or going into the turn? And it looked like it could have been a hard hit. So on the lower right of your screen, you're going to see what happened to Chris Washer. Back up at the front, James McLeod trying to get the bottom lane to work, and he's still there. But Chase Oliver is going to lead that lap, as we're still clean and green. But now we're going to watch the high line come into play right here. You just get a bigger run. It's like maybe when you're on the bottom, you have to let off of the throttle a lot in order to make that turn. But Chase Oliver still leads, but here comes Joshua Collard. Where in the world did the 43 come from? He's now up here in the mix. Contact! Contact between Collard and Oliver. Holy cow, how are they not wrecking up here? And I think, unless the 68 can get a big run once again off of the corner, Collard might be your new leader. And Collard is your new leader. But let's see if the 68 can get a run on him. So Joshua Collard has taken the lead over from Chase Oliver. So now we're going to see what Chase Oliver can do when he's not in the lead. Can he make a different line work? As right behind the 68, James McLeod looking for a run. Same with Anthony McCreary. Then it's a big hornet's nest from Stephanie Naylor on back, right in front of Trent Dunham, and how did they not crash? It's like some of these guys are like getting away with so much, as it seems. As back up at the front, Joshua Collard actually now pulling away from the 68 car, so maybe that might have sealed the deal, unless the guys behind the 43 can make a run work somewhere else. And now Chase Oliver back to utilizing the high lane on the 51 of James McLeod. Continuing to look around the field to see what's going on, as there's your points leader, Johnny Gardner, running around mid-pack. Towards the back of the field, actually. Continuing to look around as the 43 continues to pull away from everybody else, so his lead must be growing. Let's see the margin. Last time it was 0.3. This time Nearly 5/10. Trent Dunham working underneath of Stephanie Naylor. And there you see again, that run you get on the high groove helps. And now here comes Anthony McCurry pulling out underneath Chase Oliver for second. And contact right there. It's a wonder how they are not smashing into each other like that whenever they're that close together off of going into turn 2 and then coming off of turn 2. So there you see the battle for second with McCreary and Chase Oliver going on right there. Let's watch the 68, see if he continues to get that run off of the corner. No, actually he got cleared. So Chase Oliver is now falling back to third, as Anthony McCreary is now to second. Here comes Tanner Sullivan with a run underneath of James Qualls, and that is for seventh. Contact right there between those two, and now it's going to be 3 wide. This may not end well. Now it sells to double wide as Qualls got a big run off of turn 2. And I see some guys we haven't really talked about all race coming into the top 10. Dylan Young is trying to work his way into the picture. And I tell you, let's see where Trent Dunham and Johnny Gardner are currently running. Trent is currently running 6th at the moment. Johnny Gardner 26th. So Trent Dunham, if this remains the way it is, we could see a big points gain for Trent Dunham. He could, if Gardner continues to slip back in the field, Trent could take the points lead over. If not, it's going to be close in the points. We may have a battle for the lead ensuing as Anthony McCreary is right on the back bumper of Joshua Collard. Now Anthony McCreary comes into this race 26 in points. So if McCreary can somehow make the pass on the 43, we'll see how it all going to turn out. And now they're side by side with the 61 and the 43. Can McCreary make the run off of turn 2 here? Nearly contact between those two. It's like I said, your car will push up the track and you might get into someone ever so slightly. But now as a result of that, that's going to help Chase Oliver, James McLeod, Stephanie Naylor, and among others come into the fray. Chase Oliver, oh, and the caution is out! And that might have been the end of the race! And it's a photo finish to the line, and Anthony McCreary got it. I don't know if we're going to be able to get back to racing now, because I've noticed the pace laps take forever here at Pocono, so that might have been the race, and Anthony McCreary might have just gotten the win. Let's see who is involved. It might have been with Marco Martinez. Not entirely sure. I don't see any smoke lingering, but let's go ahead and take a look at the replay of... if the whole thing with Washer wasn't shown, we're going to take a look at that right now, as well as the caution replay here at Pocono. Well, here is what happened to the 35 of Washer. Right there, JT Bryan gets a little bit loose, and he's going to come up into Washer, turn him sideways, and then Washer hits the wall and actually gets Kyle Matthews a little bit in the side, but Washer was able to save it and keep going, so that was the reason why NNSCRA didn't bring the caution out, was because of the fact he managed to keep it straight after hitting the wall pretty hard, and he was able to keep on going. Now we're going to look at what brought the caution out at Pocono. Well, it looks like it was a similar situation earlier. Pichu London's going to get loose, slide up into Marco Martinez, and right there it's going to send Marco on sideways, and he actually got the wall and actually went around. Sean Galligan got a piece of the 78, and because of that, NNSCRA brought the caution out. Because when he hit harder than the 35 did, and it spun him around, so he wasn't able to keep it straight, and so the caution was out. So now we're going to go and see if there is any chance of us going back to green flag racing. Well, nobody was out of the race after everything, and it looks like we are going to get a one-lap shootout to settle it all here today at Pocono. Anthony McCrory is your leader. Second is Joshua Collard. Third is Chase Oliver. Fourth is James McLeod. Fifth is Stephanie Naylor. Sixth is Trent Dunham. Seventh is James Qualls. Eighth is Tanner Sullivan. Ninth, Dylan Young. 10th, Tim Walsh. 11th is Angel Navarro. 12th is Zach Rogers. 13th, Carson Gum. 14th, Jesse Setti. 15th, David Rivera. 16th, Dorian Facepuncher. 17th, Katie Cochran. 18th, Dylan Poteet. 19th, John Arndt. 20th, Seth Cole. 21st is Devin Becker. 22nd, Bob Jones. 23rd is Johnny Gardner. 24th, Charles Sanford. 25th, Michael Norman. 26th is Jessica Shelton. 27th is DJ Curtis. 28th, John Cittadino. 29th, Austin LaPlante. 30th, Austin Mongold. 31st, Preston Plord. 32nd, Mason Powers. 33rd, Ryan Acosta. 34th, Pichu London. 35th, PJ Williams. 36th, Matt McIntyre. 37th, JT Bryant. 38th, Kyle Matthews. 39th, Sean Galligan. 40th, Dylan Thoreau. 41st is Marco Martinez, and 42nd is Chris Washer. So the one-lap shootout is about to commence. Do the guys behind McCrory that has been up at the front all day have anything for McCrory? McCrory barely got the lead at the line over Joshua Collard, so it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen here on this restart as the green and white flags are out, and Joshua Collard already going for a run to the inside, but I don't know if that's going to work. We'll find out. Let's watch. No, McCrory gets to run off the high line. But there's still a couple more chances. You got turn 2 and turn 3 left. And Joshua Collard's actually gaining a little bit on McCrory, so maybe if he can continue to catch him a bit, he might be able to pull out and go for the lead in turn 3. And whoa, Sheldon, it looked like Sheldon got the wall, but they saved it, and I think that might have sealed the deal right there. As we're getting ready to come off of turn 3 to take the checkered flag, Anthony McCrory's going to get his first win of the season. He wins the Pocono 400 at Pocono. Congrats to the 61 team. Out of Red Bull Racing, Anthony McCrory gets his first win of the season, and he gets it here at the Tricky Triangle. And what a performance by that team as well. Stayed in the top 5 all day long, made the right move at the right time, and was able to hold off everybody behind them and made it work and got the win. Let's look at the rest of the results. Joshua Collard was pretty close to winning this race, but he's going to come away with a great second place finish. Chase Oliver, the highest go-or-go-home driver, coming away in third and was probably the dominant car of the day. James McLeod with a solid performance in fourth. Stephanie Naylor, great run in fifth and was the highest finishing rookie this week. Trent Dunham, great run in sixth, and that could help him get closer to the points lead or even get the points lead. James Qualls with a solid seventh place run. Tanner Sullivan, great run in eighth. Dylan Young with a solid performance in ninth. And Tim Walsh, great run in 10th. Rest of the top 20 was Angel Navarro, Carson Gum, Jesse Setti, Zach Rogers, David Rivera, Dorian Facepuncher, Katie Cochran, Dylan Poteet, John Arndt, Seth Cole. Rest of the top 30, Devin Becker, Bob Jones, Johnny Gardner, Charles Sanford, Michael Norman, John Cittadino, Austin Mongold, DJ Curtis, Austin LaPlante, and Preston Plord. And then the remainder of the top 40 was Mason Powers, Ryan Acosta, Pichu London, PJ Williams, Jessica Shelton, Matt McIntyre, JT Bryant, Kyle Matthews, Sean Galligan, Dylan Thoreau, and then Marco Martinez and Chris Washer. That does it for our coverage here today here at Pocono Raceway for the Pocono 400. Next week is going to be interesting. We head to the desert at Phoenix as we get set for the Subway Fretfish 400 at Phoenix, and that's going to be quite interesting. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into Phoenix, and this is Levi McIntyre signing off.